Good morning, sir. Namaskar, sir. Good morning. Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome, sir. Welcome. We'll start at 11 o'clock sharply, sir.
Okay.
Geeta madam, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we will start after principal's arrival. right? So within 5 minutes, we'll start. Be ready. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
Hello, Arnold.
Yes, Father. Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible clearly, Father.
Oh, okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Father, good morning, Father.
Good morning. Come.
Yes, Father.
Welcome.
We
Sir,
start
good morning.
by 11 o'clock, Father.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Everything is ready. Yes.
Yes, Father.
Good morning, sir. Welcome, sir. Sir, the guest is also inside. We'll start,
Good morning, Father. And good morning,
Good
sir.
morning. Good morning, Mr. Navishbhai. Yes.
Sir, good morning, sir. Professor
Good morning,
Namaste.
sir.
Good morning, sir. Morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Days again, sir.
Geeta. Good morning, Geeta.
Good morning, Father.
Hmm.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Gita.
we'll start at 11 o'clock sharply. 2 minutes to go. Principal, sir, can we start, sir?
Yes, we start.
Yes, Geeta, ma'am.
Yes, sir. With the blessing of Lord Almighty, I would like to begin the session with a quote by Louis Pasteur. Science knows no country because knowledge belongs to humanity and it is the torch which illuminates the world. A very warm and pleasant morning to one and all present here. I am Geeta R, first year BA from the Department of Biological Science, and I'm really happy to host today's international webinar on the topic Changing Humanity, Physiological and Psychological Effects during COVID-19. Prayer is aligning ourselves with the purpose of God. Now, our Reverend Father, Lord Tisami Susai, SDB, Secretary of MEDA and patron of this international webinar, will commence this program with a prayer. Please, Father.
Thank you. So let us begin this international webinar with a prayer of blessing from the Almighty. God, our loving Father, you have always willed that your creation fulfills your desire from its birth to its extinction. You have created man as the crown of your creation, gave him intelligence, wisdom, knowledge, emotions, and all the possibility of being a co-creator in your universe. Thank you, Lord, for having this special love for all of us. Especially, you have brought us here today as Mestonian staff and students to enter into this all-important international webinar on biological sciences on the topic changing humanity. Thank you, Lord, for this occasion, an occasion for learning, an occasion for listening, an occasion for sharing, an occasion to grow in wisdom and knowledge. Pour out your Spirit on us and enlighten us and inspire us to be of enlightened educators in the society. Thank you, Lord, for the chief guest, Dr. Namasivayam Ganesh Pandian, to be with us. He has been gracious enough to spare his time and spend his energy and his knowledge and expertise to our benefit. Bless him, Lord, with all the graces he is in need of. Bless our principal, who is the chief organizer of all the programs. Bless our biological science department, Mr. Arnold, Mr. Anthony, and all the organizers. Bless all of them, Lord, and bless all our students who are eagerly waiting for this program. May all of us be benefited by this program and grow in wisdom and knowledge. Thank you, Lord. Shower your special blessings on us. And we ask this prayer in the name of Jesus, our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Father, for the words of encouragement and bliss. Welcoming all is a great gesture. I request our respected principal, Dr. Devasahayam Selvakumar sir.
Most honored guest of this program, Professor Namasivayam Ganesh Pandian, most respected and revered Secretary of our college, Reverend Father Lourdes Swami Susai, honorable delegates of this international webinar, my dear staff and students, very warm welcome to you all. At the outset, let me thank Lord Almighty for this opportunity to listen to the lecture to be delivered by our esteemed guest of this program, Professor Namasivayam Ganesh Pandian from Kyoto University, Japan. He is here in our midst, in the midst of his duties and responsibilities. He has accepted our invitation and he made it a point for his valuable presence in this webinar at the international level. On behalf of the college management, staff and students, I accord a very warm welcome to you, Professor, for your presence in our midst. I take this opportunity to welcome our respected Secretary, Reverend Father Lourdes Swami Susai, for all his commitment towards the welfare of our college. I'm sure he is the backbone of each and every activity of our college. I welcome you, Father, for your blessings with the opening prayer of this program. I welcome all the delegates from all over the world to attend this academic platform at the international level. Dear delegates, we are in the changing world. Every minute, every hour, every day, every year, we expect changes. Changes in the society are inevitable. Changes are everywhere. Now, because of this pandemic period, we have various changes in the physiological and psychological system of the humanity. Therefore, I think this lecture on the theme changing humanity, the physiological and psychological changes during COVID-19 will benefit most of you in your teaching career. As a teacher, we should be ready to face the changes due to this COVID-19 situation. Therefore, we have a very expert and a person with high profile in the field of education we have in our midst. He is serving as associate professor as well as principal investigator in Kyoto University, Japan. Therefore, I wish you all the best. I hope the information, the knowledge that you acquire by attending this international webinar will help you to become an efficient teacher in your career. Once again, I welcome all the delegates, my staff and students to this program. Once again, I welcome all the gathering for this academic webinar at the international level, particularly our respected esteemed guest, Professor Namachivayam Ganesh Pandian. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir, for welcoming the gathering. We are really eager to listen about our guest. Now, Mr. Arnold Robinson, sir, Assistant Professor of Biological Science, will introduce the guest of today's international webinar. Sir?
Yeah. Yes. Good morning, everyone. I am privileged and honored to introduce today's special guest, Dr. Namachivayam Ganesh Pandian. He was born in South India, Tamil Nadu, particularly Tirunelveli. He started his research in an Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Madras, and moved to Niigata University with Japanese government scholarship to complete his PhD in 2009. After that, Dr. Ganesh joined as a research associate at Kyoto University in 2010. And now he is a tenured junior associate professor and principal investigator in that university. His profile runs through the pages. I want to minimize and to cut short due to the time limit. He's working as a visiting professor to high-profile various countries: AO Research Institute, Switzerland, Kibam Lab, Lutajab University, USA, University of Cyper Jaya, Malaysia, and so on. He has received many awards from the international organizations and honors also. Best Poster Awards from Germany and Japan, Young Investigator Award from Hong Kong, Rising Star Award in India through India, Best Keynote Speaker Award in the 8th Science Congress, which held in Germany, High Rose Asian Young Faculty Award from Japan in 2019. Recently, he got an award of Legend of COVID Lockdown from our country, a business corporation. He has organized many international symposiums. You know very well, organizing symposium, particularly to international, is very difficult. Compiling 30 and above speakers at a time. He has organized 3 programs, and he is having a director of Indo-Japan academic faculty student exchange program, and scientific membership with many organizations. He is having membership with many organizations. He is mentoring postdoc for various people from various countries. Published more than 70 international papers. So hope the researchers will admire by hearing his H index. His H index is going more than 24. You know, according to that world level, 20 is considered as good, 40 is considered as excellent. People who get Nobel Prize in Physics department, if they reach 30, they will go to receive Nobel Prize. Soon we will see him in that list. The citation in 2021 is 1,476. I-10 index is 40. Sir has given a lot of invited talks in Stanford University, Korean Society of Biotechnology, and Mysore, Harvard University, MRC Clinical Science Center, London, and Netherlands Cancer Institute, Amsterdam. Sir is guiding and also guided many PhD scholars. He is an active participant in the Debate Society of University of Madras. He loves to talk in his mother tongue, and till today, he is actively participating in that society. He is an active participant, active member in the Indo-Japan Disease Treatment Program. He knows 4 languages, Tamil, English, Hindi, and his work spot language, Japanese. His childhood passion is exploring and decoding the mysterious of cells, and particularly the secret of cells code. He has mentioned in his site, my research goal is to create smart genetic switches that precisely on and off. Dear participants, we have studied cell organelles, and we have studied the inner parts of cell organelles, right? But our professor, Dr. Namasivayam, is an expert in studying the on and off of the genetic, particularly epigenetic factors. No, you were surprised to hear this comment, what is on and off. So in his speech, he has given that. I would like to switch off the disease-causing genes and switch on the good genes. You know, hacking of languages of military and other things, we know that very well. He is hacking the language of bacteria. He hacking the language of genes. Through that, he enjoys doing a lot of works in the switches. He fell out with the genes after seeing Jurassic Park movie, right? He has mentioned, and I hope such an eminent person is with us, and he refreshed his mind by playing chess, and he enjoys very difficult moment in that. This helps him to have an imagination power. Sir, we are fortunate, and we thank the Lord to have you in our college as webinar guest. And finally, Indian-born Nobel laureate, biologist Hargobind Khorana. He got a Nobel Prize and brought pride to India. Soon, you are all the same field, genetic code and work. God willing, you will also brought to us, particularly South India, to Tirunelveli. Thank you very much, sir, for your acceptance. I hope the session which you are going to give and we are going to get it from you will be a useful one. As our father secretary told, God has blessed many people with blessed with intelligence, the crown the persons with intelligence. Surely we are going to hear it from you, sir. Over to you. Thank you, sir.
So thank you very much, Professor, for a very nice introduction and very detailed introduction. I'm deeply honored. First of all, I would like to convey my thanks to Reverend Father Ludosami Sosai, sir. Thank you so much for your blessings and wishes. So I feel honored. And thank you very much for Dr. Devasahayam Salokumar, sir, for your kind introduction and a welcome address. And thank you, one and all, esteemed colleagues and my dear staffs and students. So today I'm going to talk about something. So please don't switch off your speaker. Okay, so I'm going to talk about something which could be of interest to you. So don't worry that I'm not going to give a brief lecture about the biology, which probably you're already having for quite long. So let me try to share the screen. So I hope you can see my slides.
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay, so hello everyone. So today, actually, I would like to first of all say thank you for choosing me to give this topic, because I kind of try to educate myself in the topic, because I'm not exactly a specialist in psychological changes, but I've been actively observing what's happening here and around the world. So the Pranav gave a very nice introduction about me, and I'll also just give a brief introduction about my institute. So I belong to this institute, which is a part of Kyoto University and the Japan government, Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology. It's called the World Premier International Research Center Initiative. So what we do here, we are fortunate to have two Nobel laureates, as you can see here, Dr. Shinya Yamanaka. Dr. Shinya Yamanaka, so he got the Nobel Prize in 2012 for medicine, and Dr. Tasuku Honjo. So they both belong to our institute. So we are very proud of the fact. So what do we do here? Okay, so I'm not going to give you a lecture again. So what I'm trying to say here is we try to go back to the old days, good old days. So as Father nicely mentioned, the world, actually the field of genetics. Do you know who invented the field of genetics? So it was invented by a father, Mendel. So he was a father. So the Mendelian genetics. So he was a father and a mathematician. He invented the field of genetics by observing the changes in the genetic triads of the plants. So before 100 years, we were all called scholars. So we were not like we are chemists, we are physics, we are biologists, nothing like that. So we were all called scholars before 100 years. So only recently, we are all like trying to focus to a particular specialized field. For example, chemistry, now biochemistry, now biophysical chemistry, and we try to um, integrate or try to specialize ourselves so much. But if you look at the history, the best of the inventions and the research came when there were no barriers. So what we try to do here is we try to break all the barriers. So cell and material. Cell is something, biology, and material is something physical. So it's like ice and fire. What we try to do is that we try to put them together and try to make a fusion science. So we don't have any barrier. If you ask me who I am, I don't know. I'm a biologist, I'm a bioengineer. You can call me in many names. So about my own research, so we work on precision medicine. So I'll talk about that in later. So what we try to do is that this is my small group. So we have a mixture of members from around from particularly from India and Japan and from China. So what we try to do is we try to switch on the good genes and switch off the bad genes. That's it. You don't need to think deeply into that. I will tell about that scientific part of that later. Okay, so actually, when this topic came, I wanted to speak on the topic. Of course, I will be more glad to speak about my own research at a suitable platform here. But I think this is the need of the hour. Okay, so this is the in Japan Times. There you can see the young adult. So most of us, okay, not just in Japan, around the world, we all feel like we are in a dark tunnel. We don't know, like, what's happening with us. I lost my brother-in-law in this pandemic, my sister, and he left with two daughters. And I knew of so many of my friends. So most of the people have either in their own family or in their close family or in their circle, at least one person you would have heard that, okay, this person passed away, that person passed away. And this has been very, very common. You can't get you will always hear some sad story. Every one of you would have definitely had some sad story that somebody who is known to you has passed away. So that creates, that doesn't happen before, right? So you just imagine suddenly, just like that, you travel in a car okay, and very happily listening to a song, and just like that, in a spot, in a minute, everything changes. You made it an accident, and everything changes. That is the kind of thing that world is undergoing now. Everything is now completely changed, and these are all changing times. Even humanity is changing, so that's what is happening. So actually, most of you are young here, the audience. According to the recent survey, okay, the younger people, particularly who are aged between the age of 18 to 24, they are the ones who are being most affected to have the depression. Okay, so they don't know what to do because at the young age, you are born to explore and you want to go out and you enjoy, you meet people, you try to see the world and then explore what's happening around. But now, most of you are like kind of you are young, or the happy times of your life has been robbed away from you because of this pandemic. So that is very, very sad to know. And if you look at the age more than 65%, they are not that much worried because they have seen life, and they are actually taking this pandemic much better than the young adults, because young adults are can't. A lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of people are having the issue of being at the home for a long time. They don't know what to do, and they are kind of very depressed. And this depression is going to, go on for some time. So that is very sad for us. So I want to say that, in Japan or everywhere, this too shall pass. If you look at Japan, okay, so this is a country of natural disaster. Natural disaster is not something very new to us. Okay, so in Japan, I've been living in Japan for the 15 years, and I have experienced about 2 to 3 natural disasters, including the tsunami and major earthquakes. Okay, so here, uh, this kind of that is also a natural disaster, and people consider this COVID-19 as also kind of a natural disaster. So this during this kind of time, okay, dark times, what Japan, okay, Japanese have this kind of mentality that they always think that this too shall pass. They rise like a phoenix out of the thing. So this is the place I am living in. This is called Kyoto, ancient capital of Japan. So what you see here is the phoenix bird on the top of the golden temple, which this is kind of if you come to Japan, okay, so people would like just like you come to India, you have to take a picture in front of Taj Mahal. Like people who are coming to Japan, they want to take a picture in front of this golden temple to show that they have been to Japan. That kind of a famous tourist place this is, and these also have a deeper meaning that anything, whatever happens, this will end. So you don't need to worry so much. This too shall pass. So we have to keep the hope and try to move ahead. So, how many of you know about this term, ikigai? Have you heard of this term, ikigai? So, this is a very, I just, I'm not, even if you're not going to listen to my talk after this, I would like to just go and Google this term, ikigai, I-K-I-G-A-I. It's very, very important for you, okay, particularly for the young people. So, this is how you find the purpose of life. Okay, so this changing humanity here, that I would like to turn all your interest to this particular point. As a young, when I was a bachelor course student or a master course student, all I wanted is to do well in my studies and then go to a good job and make my parents proud. That's it. I do not have any big dreams. Most of you may have had the similar kind of dreams. Okay, ikigai is something where you actually need to have a central theme. Okay, so this is about you need to find the purpose of your love, like what you love. Okay, if you just do what you love, which can give you the passion and the mission, you'll be very happy, you'll be very delighted. But maybe you may not have the wealth, or you may not have the money which need to be which you can fulfill for you and your family. And if you do what the world needs, okay, so you may have a mission, or you may have an occasion, but you may not have the excitement. Okay, I mean, you may have an excitement, but you may not have the completion. Like, you may not have that completion. So if you do, for example, what you want to, that's what we do. Most of our people, we this modern age, what we try to do is that we always were worried pre-COVID about what we will be paid for. Most of the people always think about that is the way our education worked. Like, we have to do well, we have to have a good mark, and we have to do a profession that can give a good money. We will be comfortable there. Okay, if you look at most of the rich people, if you ask them, if you are earning so much, but if you don't feel that completion, then if you feel emptiness, most of the people, like, if you look at most of the superstars or someone, they want to go somewhere to refill them. They always feel emptiness. Okay, so that can happen. And if you do what you're good at, okay, you will have a satisfaction, but you will still feel the uselessness. So you have to have a balance of all these two. That's what the COVID-19 has taught us all. We have to have a balance. We have to do what you love. We also should do what the world needs. We also should do what you have to pay for. We also should do what you are good at. So I encourage all the young students to think about this. Okay. So please find your ikigai. So do what you love, and you also should do what the world needs, and you also should make sure that you are paid well. Otherwise, your family needs cannot be fulfilled, and you may not have the completion. And at the same time, you should not just do what you love. You should also become good at that. So do what you love, and make sure that whatever you're doing, you're good at, and you have to make sure that you are doing something the world needs, and you have to make sure that that is being paid in terms of money or in terms of the recognition. Okay, so please find your ikigai, and that in that way, you can relook at your life and do well. So I want to tell about my ikigai. I just want to tell about my life story in a very simple way. Okay, so uh, these days, students, most of you would have been trained to answer questions, right? So you don't ask questions. So the teachers and the staffs ask you the questions, and you tend to answer them. So you usually don't ask questions at this age. But this lockdown is something very new for you, but I had a problem in my eyes, in my engage. So I had a lockdown during my engage. Okay, so when I was young, about 14 years old or something like that, I had a problem in my eye, and I was not able to see the TV. I was not able to look at the sunlight. I had this problem of a vitamin D deficiency because I did not eat well that time, and because of that, this was in early 90s. So I was, there were only television was there, and there was only book, and I did not have anything to do. So what I did is that I kept asking questions, particularly to my mother, because I had to entertain myself. So I always ask her why. Why did you do this? For example, she cooked something. So I ask her, why did you cook this? And then she say, okay, I cooked those are today, idli today. Then I ask her, why not you? I try to just keep the conversation. So I ask her another question. So I just ask her so many questions just to keep conversation. And the one thing that at the time, one good question that I asked at that time is that, do bugs get sick? Because I was kind of a person who easily gets sick. I don't like the like this kind of bad environment. I mean, if I even have a small unclean environment, then I usually get sick. So I have this dust allergy, and even I've been mocked at, those days there was this magazine, Tamil magazine called Sirvar Malar. Okay. So there is a character that called Sony Payan. So, who gets usually very quickly sick, and who is always scared by the mother. So I was that kind of a person, who always gets scared by the mother because I easily get sick. Then I asked this one question about one which was encouraged by my mother. Pachaku Kachivarma. Okay, so in a simple word, like, do bugs get sick? Because if you look at the bugs, They go around in all kinds of places. They go to the toilet, they go to, go to any kind of bad places, but they don't get sick. But we usually get sick so easily. So why that happens? So that was my question at that time, and my mother was so happy that I asked this one question, which is a normal question, and she said, you have to grow and then you have to find by yourself. Then actually I did my PhD on this topic that bugs do get sick. It does get sick. Okay, so in fact they use the biopesticide. They use this bacteria called Bacillus thuringiensis to kill the insect. So because the chemical pesticides sometimes are not effective. So usually we always have a thing that, no bugs they will get sick, right? But bugs also do get sick. In fact, they can be killed by the bacteria, but they do have a certain level of resistance. Okay. So they are actually more resistant than us. We are actually having masks and we are roaming, having under the lockdown. If you look at the bugs, they are actually roaming freely. They don't have any problem. Then I have this question after my PhD. So what I did during my PhD is that I found that the silkworm, okay, the silkworm, pattupuchi, so they eat mulberry leaves. The leaves contain chlorophyll, and the chlorophyll goes inside the body of the silkworm, and then they make some red fluorescent protein that can actually kill any kind of bacteria, particularly pathogen. That was my discovery of my PhD. And then during my PhD, I had this question, do bacteria get sick? So do bacteria get sick? So that was my question. And actually, bacteria do get sick, and that's by hacking the language of the bacteria. The reason last year's Nobel Prize CRISPR-Cas9 has been awarded. Actually, the CRISPR-Cas9 is kind of a mechanism where if the virus is going to try and enter the bacteria, the bacteria have a kind of a recognition sequence, and uh, they can actually ward off the virus. So what is a recognition sequence? What I'm talking about, you may be wondering. So how many of you know that everything that is called life, we are made from letters. We are all made from letters A, T, G, C. Adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. Probably you would have already uh, been much familiar with about this kind of thing. It's all where all these letters, anything that is called life, be it a bacteria, be it an insect, and be it this small child, which is my daughter, everyone are made of letters. Anything that is life, if you look at anything that is life, they're all made from letters. Even COVID-19 is made of letters. So COVID-19 is made up of about 30,000 letters, and we are made up of 3 billion letters. Thus, the number of letters are different. Okay. So where are these letters? They are arranged in the DNA, the deoxyribonucleic acid, in this form. A always binds to T, G always binds to C. So this is the mother nature. Okay. So if we are all made from letters, why do we look so different? Okay. So that's where the gene expression happen. Okay. So I'm not going in deep into science, so don't worry seeing this slide. And I'm just going to give a sense of what we are doing and why this kind of gene expression is so important in this time of COVID. Okay. So DNA, if you know, it's 2 meters long, and it's so big that the nucleus it's just 6 micrometer. Okay, so if you imagine this is the cell, this is the nucleus, just 6 micrometer, and DNA is 2 meter long. So how the 2 meter long DNA gets packaged into the nucleus is no, not just this one. So many DNA will be there. So how it get packaged is that they get packaged by by winding around a protein called histone protein. So DNA is shown in the blue color. The histone protein is shown in the yellow color. Okay, so they just get packaged like this, just like over the thread over the need, like that it gets packaged into the nucleus. If you find it so difficult or difficult to imagine, then you can think about this simple terms. Okay, so this is a simplistic explanation. Maybe you would have seen the like kind of the old HOD kind of stuff. Okay, the ancient scrolls. that are being used. Okay, so I said we are all made from letters. You can see here, this is a open letter. This is a closed letter. Okay, so just like the DNA is made up of letters, like all our information are actually packed inside the nucleus, either in the form of a open letter or a closed letter. So they have this kind of a mixture. Something is open, something is closed. Okay, so we are all made from letters basically. And what is an off gene and what is an on gene? So what is the genetic switches? Okay, so this is going to be the last part of my science talk. So later I'll talk about the social stuffs. So what is an off gene is that if you see, this is the closed letter, you can't see, right? If you look at the actual stuff, so this is the histone protein, this is called heterochromatin. So you can see, so the natural copy machine, our body have a copy machine that is called RNA polymerase. They just go and take a copy out of the open letter. Okay, because it can't see, so the natural copy machine do not make a on off gene. I mean, do not read the gene. So this is called off gene. It is not expressed. So what is an on gene? On gene is where the natural copy machine can actually see the open letter, and then it can just make a script for the cell function, which is nothing but the RNA. So the DNA becomes an RNA, which is a script. Okay, so that is called transcription. Maybe you would have heard the terms. And after the transcription, protein, which is the cell functioning material, it's called translation. So this three process is important for anything that is called life. So this is the off gene and this is the on gene. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to switch off the bad genes and switch on the good genes. So what this off gene and on gene can do, how big the effect can be on us. So I hope you're still listening, most of the listeners. So I want to ask you this question to know how involved you are. So there are two bees here. Okay, which one is called queen bee? Can someone answer, please, in the chat box? So are we seeing the answer? The bigger one or the smaller, left one or the right one? Can someone answer by opening their mic, please?
You can type your answer. Yeah. Left one. Someone is giving
Okay,
galaxy.
okay,
left
great. Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So yes, that's right. The left one is the queen bee. So how many of you know that during their baby, okay, in the larva form, they were all the same. This is the queen bee, this is the worker bee. Both were the same. Both were looking the same, okay? And they one went on their genetic code, everything were the same. One went on to become a queen bee, the other became a worker bee. Why? Does someone know the answer? So that is because of the food, royal jelly. Okay. So in the bee world, there is a strange rule that one of the bees or larvae are getting selected, and then they are fed with the food that is royal jelly. And by eating this royal jelly, they have a secret ingredient, a very, very good component for the cell's growth. And that actually comes and opens up the queen factors like this. So they open up the queen factors. So when the queen genes are expressed, the the bee becomes more stronger, they become more taller, and they live for a long time. So that is a oxymoron because in a real world, for us, somebody who works, okay, they are called worker, right? And they are naturally strong. But this is the other way around in the queen world, just because of the food. So the food is so important for us. Food, everything that is called disease begins in the gut. So the food is the most primary part of our body. So what has, coming back to the topic, what has COVID done to our health consciousness? And I think now more than ever, previously there were during the Jallikattu protest, people were thinking they're not going to drink any carbonated beverage and so on. But later people started to drink, right? And now more than ever, people have started to imagine how they have to live their life. So this is a very simple example about how the same DNA in a person's body, okay, can be manifested in a or read or unread to form a different kind of person. Say, for example, the person in the right. So he's like most of the current generation, where they would like to see the TV. They want to keep their doors closed now, of course, because of COVID, and they want to they don't read important books, and they just want to more like the couch potatoes they are. And you can see, over the age, they age so fastly. They have they have the fat, and the same person, if we can actually open the door, play, try to keep himself so active and eat some nice food. Like now, people have been, a lot of talk has been going about the boosting your immunity, Norit Sakti, like that they are saying, right? So if you eat a very whole food, not like the restaurant or the junk food, and who is very active, particularly keeping the door open, getting the sunlight, then he looks so different and they look so different. Now, during this COVID-19, one good thing that has happened, I'm seeing in the Facebook and other places, most of the people have started to read. Now, most of the people again started to read, and they're posting about the books they have read. And the life has changed for good in a way, actually. That is very good change that has happened. But there is a problem, okay, which is the screen time. And I should not say this because now we are on the screen. Okay. So this is actually a good thing that we are on the screen. Like I'm now able to talk to you directly sitting here in Japan. And before that will not happen, I have to come there and then be there. And then you have to take all the strain and a lot of effort and expenditure has to happen to make me to come there and see you. But now you can just, see me over the thing. So this is a good thing. A lot of good things happened with the screen time. But there are also some bad things. For example, most of us are spending more than 3+ hours per day with the screens, and now maybe more. Okay, particularly from 2019 into 2020, many people, about 49%, have seen more than 6+ hours, and without supervision. Okay, most of the people, this is okay because supervision is where your sir is actually teaching you online class, but without supervision, without somebody seeing you, more than 30% people are actually seeing the screen. Just, probably most of you would have seen the Valimai update yesterday. Okay. So, like everyone is so happy seeing uh, the YouTube and the most of them are occupied with the social media. So which is actually in a way there is good and bad and the necessary. So it's very difficult to see whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. But we have to be very careful that this should not lead to a lot of problem which you won't realize now. But please don't think this is a preaching kind of message, because I myself see a lot of, if you see my office, a lot of screens are there in my office. But this is not good. We have to keep a limit, because it can cause a headache and migraine. It can cause your eye to, have a, you have to go on to wear the glass. And particularly, some people may have some kind of age-related macular degeneration. And particularly after the post lockdown, before you had a discipline, right? So I was also brought up in a Christian institution, where in Rosemary School in Tirunelveli. So there the discipline is very very we have to be very well disciplined. Like we have to cut our nails, we have to cut our hair, we have to have a very proper dress code. Yeah, and a lot of things we have to be, and we need to have the discipline. So that kind of discipline is very very important. But now, I don't see most of you did not on your camera. So you're very happy and you can look whatever the way you want and you can just see. So that kind of discipline is actually missing, which is in a way for some people, it may be good. For most of the cases, it's not so good for us. When life gets back to normal, I think we have to get back to the thing. So we have to make sure that there is a balance. Okay. So even without the, even in this kind of lockdown, You have to maintain that discipline. So please don't postpone your discipline for the current situation. So coming back to the conferences that Professor Arnold kindly introduced me. So I do make a lot of international symposiums, and so whenever there is a symposium, I try not to usually like people say like Socrates have said this, and other countrymen said this, the scholars said this, but I try to use this particular topic because this is what is the core of our life. Okay, particularly the physiological change or the psychological change, can happen by this quote. Okay, so which is probably you know about this particular Tirukkural. Okay, so which is Noi Nadi, Noi Mudal Nadi, Althanikum Moi Nadi, Vipasayal. So know the disease. So you have to first know what is the disease, what is its root cause, and you have to develop the procedure to cure the same by appropriate medicine and delivery tools. Okay, I want to tell about the progress of what's going to happen in COVID-19 from now with this Tirukkural. Okay, so know the disease. So where are we now? What are we? How is this going to end? No one knows. No one knows how is this going to end. But we are actually very, very close to the end. So you don't need to think about that. Okay. What does history say? We have to just look back at the history. What does history say when this kind of thing happened? So in 1918, I mean, I don't want to go very um, uh, back, maybe just 100 years before you can think about Spanish flu. Maybe most of you would have heard about the Spanish flu because of the recent television channels. So Spanish flu happened, and most of the pandemic. So pandemic is where everyone in the world is affected. Okay, and is everywhere. That became endemic, like they become localized with no vaccine. No vaccine was there. Just in 2 years, everything became endemic. And this is in 1918 by Spanish flu. In 1952, H2N2 virus came. 1968, H3N2 virus came. And then 2009, maybe H1N1 virus came. And SARS also came later. So if you look at all these viruses, there is one thing in common. Okay, so this are all influenza virus. So this is the influenza virus, and what we have is SARS-CoV-2. This is the COVID-19 virus. This is the actual illustration of the influenza and the SARS-CoV-2. And influenza virus had 4 strains. So now you've been hearing about most of the strains. Okay, um, you know that strain. I wanted to say in Tamil in a very simple way. Strain is something like there is a change because of the mutation. Okay, for example, somebody have a mustache, somebody have a beard, or somebody change their look. So that is the change of the strain. Okay, that may have an impact or may not have an impact. And in the case of influenza, okay, it's completely changed. It's something, for example, Indian becomes a Japanese. That kind of a change is there. So that is called the strain. Okay. So in the case of SARS-CoV-2, there is no new strains so far. Whatever we are having is a variant. Variant is different. Strain is different. Variant is someone, just they are changing. That's it. But in the case of influenza, complete change has happened. So, but why SARS-CoV-2 is more dangerous than influenza, and why we have to be very very careful is many people would have already listened about this. What is happening with the COVID-19? It goes and the spike protein goes and binds to our ACE2 receptor and then put their DNA. The major problem is that you can see here they have 30,000 letters, which means that this virus has an intelligence in it. Okay, so it can actually evade and it can actually mutate, and they want to basically want to just survive. That's what they want to do. So they have this kind of a change that can make, and maybe you already would have heard about this, a lot of variants. Okay, so I'd said in the December that this is just a new variant and you don't need to worry that much. But because of the man-made disaster, this basically the second wave, basically the man-made disaster, we had a lot of political miscalculation, and we had the elections and so on, and we kind of celebrated too early. Otherwise, this kind of variant wouldn't have caused an outbreak. Okay, so there are many variants, like you may know, because people don't want to term, they made this alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. So now we have the delta variant that was first recorded even in October 2020, but it was not a big thing that time. But what happened in February and March, we had a lot of get-togethers too early, and that caused the problem. And we have to know that we have to avoid this kind of variant. So please do get vaccinated. Whoever did not get vaccine, try to get vaccinated, because this is not influenza virus. So this is COVID-19, which is very new. So you have to get yourself vaccinated and try to follow all the kinds of regulation told by the government. And coming back to the psychological changes, previously only we think about us or our family, but now we all have a shared responsibility. We also should know, we also should are praying that our neighbor and other people also should be in a good way. No, they have to be in good health. Previously, you don't care whether the someone who is strange to you have some disease. You don't care. He has a cancer. You don't care. Now, if he has a COVID and he's coming to you, you have to care, right? You are praying that he's not having any COVID or something like that. So this is called a Swiss cheese layer. Like no one is safe until we are all safe. Now, this is why the psychological change has to happen now. We have to make sure that all of us are together, and we have to think ourselves as a species. All have to think ourselves as a species, and we have to fight this off. So we have to have the personal responsibility, which is we have to do the physical distancing, we have to wear the mask, we have to make the hand hygiene, we have to wash our hands all the time, try not to touch your face, try to avoid the crowds. It's not happening now, as they can see in the television channels. And quick tracing, this is very important, that you have to trace and then quarantine them effectively, because that is very important. And more important is the ventilation and air filtration of spaces. Actually, the more you go out, the more we have an open environment, the chances of we getting the infection is quite low. So we have to have the suitable ventilation, and the government should have a very clear message, and they have to do the financial support, and quarantine and isolation has to be effective. Finally, the vaccines. So before vaccines, if you do all this, you actually don't need a vaccine. You wouldn't have needed a vaccine if you have followed this all before 1 year. Now we are in need of the vaccine mainly because of this stuff. But this vaccine is so important, and we have to have this vaccine, and everyone should get vaccine. Only then these variants will change. So please don't question whether you have to need a vaccine. Even if it's not for you, at least for your family, please try to get vaccinated. So about the my role in between India and Japan. So basically, this started in 2014 when Prime Minister Modi came visited Japan, and so there has been a program between India and Japan. And so whenever there is a visit of Indian Prime Minister, you can see that I'm also there. So what basically is that India, our nation is many nation in one nation, right? So we all have a very rich genetic pool. So basically what India give is a patient cell with genetic diversity. And what Japan gives back is a technology for disease control. So it's like chicken egg, right? So only when you know what's happening, I mean, when you only your technology, particularly like vaccine and all, it's effective only when it is given to a large population. And the largest population, China is kind of a race of its own. But if you look at India, we're kind of a mixed pool, just like United States, we're also kind of a mixed pool. So Indians are like, a lot of, we have many race in one race. Okay. So this is what is the program theme. So that's why I've been involved in India, Japan, and kind of acting as an ambassador, academic ambassador between India and Japan from past 2016. So when this COVID came, so this is my team member, Dr. Zutavu. This has happened in China. So if you look at China, you may always criticize China for many things, and I also want to. Okay, there are a lot of things that you have to criticize China for, and particularly how they have acted so late. But there is one thing that you can think about China is that. So actually, this Dr. Zhou Yu, my team member, so he visited China without knowing that there is a COVID there. So he was there in January, and then he came back in the mid of February. So what he said is that how they controlled is that they did not, if you look at the world map now, just go and look at the Google, how many cases are there in China? If you look at, it was number one in the beginning, right? In the February and March. If you look at now, it'll be in 100th place or 150th place. There's no cases actually. There are no new cases, mainly because they quarantined well. They acted very, very fast. They quarantined well. So that was what was told by my team members. They did the CT scan. They did the AI-based CT scan. So they knew who to quarantine, who not to quarantine. Quickly they know. Okay, they just quarantine them without any medicine, without any major breakthrough. They were able to come. You can just look at the numbers. Was very this number is spiked at this time because they did not care how much the numbers are. The previously the government sometimes don't want to expose such a big number, but Chinese government did not care about that, and then gradually the number came down. And what we did, our contribution was that, so this is Professor Balasubramanian Raman from IIT Roorkee. I collaborate with him. He visits me in Japan a lot of time. So he and I, we gave an idea that we can do the AI-based X-ray because, the CT scan is quite expensive. So we said, why don't we do the AI, artificial intelligence, which can actually spot, basically this is the machine learning where we are all biologists. Most of the listeners now could be biologists, and maybe you may think AI is something out of your topic or out of your interest, but artificial intelligence is everywhere now. Okay, so if you look at something which cannot be seen by your human's eye can be seen by the artificial intelligence if you can train them. This is actually the COVID. This is how a COVID patient's X-ray will look like. Then it can actually, if you can train them, you can spot the COVID with just the X-ray. So that's what we have said. So we have said usually people do the PCR and then do the X-ray, but we have said we can do this other way around. And this was taken up by the IIT Alumni Council, and even our Tamil Nadu Chief Minister then actually did this, and this was actually taken up by our Indian government. So this was shown in the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology websites and was also covered by Times of India. This was my small contribution to COVID-19. So why I wanted to say this is that we have to have an open mind. So we should not stick that we have to think only about what is our specialty. And recently, we also did this, web scrapping, where we gave the information about where the oxygen is available. Okay, so this is also kind of a analytical method that we have done. Although my lab is completely biology, so we gave about 30 ton oxygen from Japan to India by making the structured data. So these two contribution we have done from our lab. And coming back to the vaccine, so people always think about vaccine as something very external. Okay, so if you know how the history of vaccine, how the vaccine was discovered, this was discovered by a dairy maid. Okay, so this dairy maid it was not discovered by a scientist. This dairy maid had an observation. So she looked at the nature. So she saw if there is a cowpox, okay, there are two kinds of poxes, smallpox and cowpox. They're basically the same strain, okay, kind of that. So they belong to the pox family. So she observed that if she have a cowpox, she will not have a smallpox. So that she said to Dr. Edward Jenner, and then Edward Jenner did not say, okay, she's just a dairy maid. What does she know? Like that, he did not take it, and he took the idea and then he took the blood of the dairy maid and injected into the baby. That's how the vaccine was born. So vacum here means the cow. So not just the smallpox, okay, lot of diseases has now come to extinction because of this one discovery. And coming to the current situation, okay, So people have been thinking, why should we take vaccine? Why don't we take Abasura and other kind of our Siddha medicine? Of course, see, anything that can intervene and make you feel good can be taken. But vaccine is something has been administered everywhere, and you can actually have it together. You don't. There is nothing wrong in having it together, but you have to have a open mind. Like you should not think that okay, this is even if you look at all the tablets. Okay, for example, the tablet recently people were saying about the ivermectin and other kind of tablets. Whatever the tablets, they are also derived from the natural product. It's not, they're not taking it from the outside planet or something like that. So basically, tablets are nothing but the natural product which are well characterized. So you don't need to worry about that. We have to change our mindset towards taking the uh, integrated medicine. You can also take your own medicine. You can also take the medicine from outside. Particularly, now, sorry, actually, I also gave a talk in Tamil, so I did not change the slide. So basically, what does it say here in the slide in Tamil is that in each world war, okay, during each world war, the complete shift in the mindset has happened. The World War One and World War Two. After a long time, 1947, okay, so this is the first time there is a complete change of mindset that is happening, which is we have to now increase our immunity. There's no other way around. We have to, if you want to survive in this world, okay, we have to keep ourselves fit. So this is the structure of the T cell, which is our immune cell attacking the cancer cell. Okay, so now if we increase the T cell, our immunity, then we will be able to kill the disease better. Okay, so what the future, what is going to be the prospect of the COVID-19 treatment is that, so previously every medicine was symptom based. Okay, so long time ago. So most of the things happens to have a failure. They may have some adverse effect, or the very small effect will happen. Nowadays, whatever the medicine that we are having is evidence based. Okay, and so here the failure is also there. It's not like there is no failure. There's also some adverse effect, but most of the people are having a good effect. But take the example of vaccine tomorrow. So you're all going to be the future. Okay, tomorrow we have to go into the precision medicine, which is going to be tailored and omics based, which is going to be the DNA based. So this kind of thing cannot be done in my generation. Okay, so I'm already 42, and maybe I may have some few years ahead of me in the research. But you young minds, you have to take this forward, and you have to take this to another level. Okay, so this precision medicine is going to be based on the genetics, biomarker, imaging, phenotypic, and psychological characteristics. So all this has to be there for a medicine. So this is what our Thiruvalluvar also already said in a very simple terms. Okay. So how is this COVID-19 is going to end? How are you going to increase our immunity? Okay. So this can be achieved only by having the mucosal immunity. So mucosal is where the entry, okay, so even the entry of viruses, if you stop it here, most of the vaccine here or everything have a after it comes inside our body, it is having a systemic immune response. But here, if you have this kind of mucosal immunity, then it can't even, virus can't even enter like this. It can just try to squeeze and enter, and then our antibody can just kill that. Okay, so this kind of mucosal immunity, if we can have this, then we will be able to prevent any kinds of viruses that can come in the future. So when I say, can there be future viruses? Yes, it is possible. Future viruses is possible. There may be many new viruses that may come. So when you think about virus again, you may think that is a very bad thing, right? How many of you know that the feeling love, we all love each other, right? The love is actually came from a virus during evolution. So you can actually Google about this. It was you can in the National Geographic. There's an article. At least in the mouse model, mouse level, what they have found, the feeling love is because of a gene that was integrated long time ago in our body. That's why we became to started to love more than lust. Okay, so that's a very good thing. The revolution has happened because of that. And even I'm working on the mitochondria. So mitochondria is basically the bacteria that got internalized into the cell. Okay, so bacteria also is inside our body. More than 10% of our letters are made up of from viruses. Viruses contributed, and bacteria also contribute more than 10%. Okay, and human cells, okay, our humans, whenever we are talking, we carry more bacterial cells than the human ones. A lot of bacteria are inside our body, in gut, in our eyes, everywhere. Okay, so we are all fellow travelers. That's what is shown in this magazine. So we are made up of viruses. We are made up of bacteria. We are made up of our own cells. Okay, so future there may be some viruses, but this first, why the COVID is a problem is that for the first time, the COVID is meeting a man. That's why the problem has come. But over the time, we will evolve with this, and we have to be very, very careful to not have a bad virus. Okay, the good virus is always okay. We can have more loving viruses in our body, no problem. Bad viruses are a problem. So this is my final slide. So after 3.8 billion years, okay, Earth is a standing proof. Like, how will life will find a way? Life will always find a way. Life will always find a way to sustain itself. Okay, but we had to be very careful. The humanity should now change. That we should have a sustainable growth. Okay, in Tamil we have this term called Valamkundra Valarchi. So we have to make sure that we are living with in sync with the nature. Okay, like our honorable father said, God created us in His form, right? So we have to make sure that this earth does not only belong to us. Okay, and we also should love our fellow animals, and we have to take care of them. Or we mainly the COVID-19 has come. There are so many theories out there, but the main reason that it has come is because of the kind of mixed thing that happened. Bats are supposed to be in their natural habitat. Okay, so those bats were somehow came, and then it came to the some animal. So because of that, this kind of contagion has happened. So that is what is the general theory at this moment. Okay, so that kind of thing should not happen in the future. Like, each person should be there where they belong, and each animal should be there in their natural habitat. We are not supposed to mix them. Okay, say for example, this is the very nice picture of in Japan. There is a thing called cherry blossom where the white flowers are there. During the COVID, okay, this very nice sight has happened where all the deers came, and then they were very happy to just roam around without the fear of us humans. Okay, and 2020 was one of the major year, particularly as a student of your age when I was in before 10 years or 20, 15 years ago. Our late President Dr. Abdul Kalam has always said in 2020, India will become the superpower. Okay, but 2020 went down for a very wrong reason, and India did not become a superpower, you can say. And if he's around here now, he would have said, the term of superpower has completely changed. Even Japan, still, India is much better in controlling the disease in some ways. In Japan or USA, they also had a lot of problem. So, what is the superpower? Is now completely changed. The superpower is basically the how we are going to have a sustainable growth. So that has to happen in India, because now in India, our country, we are made up of the youngest population. The world's largest youngest population is in our country. And I request you all to take care of you and take care of the others. So you have to have a personal responsibility and take care of others. And final, please try to find your ikigai. Okay, so you try to find what you love and do it well, and take care of yourself and take care of your family, take care of your the whole nation. Okay, and even the world. We have to now start to think like a species. And I also request most of the people, the students, to take science as their career. Okay, we need more scientists than engineers now. Thank you very much.
The session was very wonderful, sir. Thank you, sir, for gracing us with this occasion with umpty number of informations. Your explanation about switching on and off genes and the genetic material and your contribution to control COVID-19 was fabulous. And you made us understand about the term ikigai, which means the what our life purpose is. This too shall pass phrase is much needed for us now at this situation. We'll definitely be responsible, sir. Thank you, sir. And if you have any doubts, you can kindly post it in the chat box.
Participants, you can unmute yourself and you can ask questions.
Yeah, you can also ask questions directly. As I said, as students, you are trained to answer questions, but you are the future generation, so you have to start asking questions. And don't worry about asking questions. It can be anything, no problem. You can ask me any question that you want. Thank you. I think this is not a subject presentation, so probably you may not have so many questions. But why don't you interact? Why don't you tell about what tell your suggestion about how we can improve the psychological state of us. Okay, so how do you think about how the future is going to be, or what should be done to change the current situation? Try to, we can interact also, it's fine. Don't have any scientific questions. Can be a friendly discussion, no problem. Thank you, many more. So can the students find okay, thank
Sir,
you, I am
there is a
Perumal.
question, sir.
I am Parmod, yeah.
From I am.
Thank you. I can read that. Thank you, I am Perumal. Actually, I really appreciate you for posting this question. Okay. So, is it possible to implement Ikigai process in this country? Yes, of course. Actually, we are a country. I mean, just because our education system is now, more towards making ourselves to be a better earning person. Okay, that is not the actual situation. So we have to think that, uh, particularly after this, after the COVID-19, um, our country always have this sense of responsibility. If you look at the Jallikattu problem or Chennai, what is that, Chennai flood time, okay? You see, you youngsters, right? The youngsters actually took responsibility and they cared for others. No one told them. Okay, they cared for others through the social media. They kind of took responsibility. Most of the youngsters went on to help the other people. So our people always care. In fact, our country people always care much better than other country. Okay, and so we already have the sense of serving the nation or serving our community. It's always there. So it is definitely possible to implement, Mr. I. M. Perumal. And Mr. Prince Samuel, regarding the third wave.
Sir,
Yeah, third wave is coming.
wow.
Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah, please.
Sir, we have one more question from Henna Christie about
Mhm.
what is mucosa and what does it contain?
Okay.
Mucus
So,
glucose.
okay. Okay. So actually, if you look at our nose and particularly the mucosa, okay, so we are covering now with the with this mask, right? So a lot of factors are there together which provides immunity to our body. For example, a lot of components in mucosa can actually sense whether there is a pathogen that is coming or not. Then it can actually give a signal to our immunity, and then the immunity will produce an antibody, and then it can kill. If you have that kind of immunity here in the mucosa layer, then we actually don't need to have any vaccine because it doesn't enter your cell. Okay, so that kind of mucosal immunity can happen if you are in a very good state of health. So yeah, and regarding the third wave may happen, Mr. Prince Samuel, and but it's not going to be as bad as the second wave. But still, there may be many people that we may lose, so we have to be very careful and try to have vaccine as soon as possible, and try to convey the message. So that is to Mr. Prince Samuel. And there is another question from Vivo. So it's a nice name. Vivo means life. Okay. So Vivo, is it possible to find a cure to non-curable disease by using third generation vaccine or AI-based exam? Yeah, sure. So definitely, this mRNA vaccine, for example, this mRNA vaccine is now fighting against COVID-19, but this can also be repurposed and used for many diseases. For example, HIV. Okay, so for HIV also now they are trying to announce, try to cure incurable diseases, and cancer is something that everyone wants to cure, and definitely uh, there is a very high chance that this can be used for curing the very incurable disease like cancer or Alzheimer or autism. Okay, a lot of that's what we are also trying to work on. So for that, the medicine has to go to the next level, which is precision medicine. Okay, so precision medicine is where you just don't give tablet. For example, if you let me tell a very simple example. You say you have a headache, and then for headache there will be a standard medicine, okay, or for fever there will be a standard medicine dose 650. Okay, so like that you just take a medicine. This is like evidence-based medicine. That's not going to help for you. If you have something, you have to check what time you had, and lot of things if you can do. If you have a tailored based medicine, okay, that kind of thing has to happen. Particularly, this happened during the COVID-19. All the people, irrespective of their boundaries, they have come together. So definitely, this will be the future, and future there's going to be more diseases will be cured in the future, definitely. Yeah, and I think this is very important questions like how do I do the undergraduate study in the um, in Japan, and is Japan university better than USA? I think these are all very important study, and you have to be motivated about this. Definitely, uh, there are a lot of scholarship. People don't consider Japan as much as they consider Europe or USA. And I myself first considered to go to Europe. I just came here mainly because the PhD program here is just for 3 years. So I thought, I had a family responsibility. So I thought, okay, I complete here and then move on to another country. But then the coming to the question of Lento P. Laishram. So I found Japan universities in a way better than USA, mainly because they try to specialize in the domain. They try to study it so deeply, and it's very difficult to say which is better. I just found that my place is suitable for me. It's also depends on who the person you are, right? So for me, I'm kind of a person who don't care about being so social. So it was very easy for me. So there are so many questions. So maybe Geeta, can you help me to pick a question for me?
Yes, sir. Um, so from Dr. S. Wilson, he's asking, is it possible for any genetical disorders in future by taking COVID vaccine, sir? Will there
Yeah,
be
that's a
any
very
disorders if we take up COVID vaccine?
Yeah, that's a very important question, particularly with respect to the mRNA vaccine. So in our country, we are using the Covaxin or Covishield, so there's no problem basically. Relatively, you are not playing around with the your letters, but in the case of mRNA vaccine, you are basically playing around with the letters. But if you look at the efficacy, so far this mRNA vaccine is not something very new. It's not like they have developed only for COVID-19. This technology has been around for quite some time. So many tests and studies have already been done for this technology. And just that in COVID-19, they just repurposed this for COVID-19. So far, there is no such news that it can have a genetic disorder or something like that. Good news is that so far there's no such problem. And if it's going to be the same situation for 1 or 2 more years, you can see that most of the disease, okay, even I'm telling about the COVID-19 and even cancer. My own mother had cancer, okay. So cancer is something which you very rarely people think that it is kind of a punishment for someone who is not leading a healthy life. But if you even cancer, if you pre-COVID, you may have heard of cancer in your close family or in your surrounding family. Somebody had cancer or something like that. It's on rise, and that probably can be overcome by this kind of vaccine technology. So at this moment, we don't find any such genetic disorder. No. Geeta,
Uh, Thankfulness is the beginning of gratitude, and gratitude is the completion of thanking. I now call upon Mr. Anthony Santaseelan, sir, Assistant Professor of Education, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Geeta. May I audible?
Yes, sir.
May I audible, please?
Yes.
Thank you, thank you. It's a great honor and privilege for myself to be a part of Bioscience Department. And I'm really happy to propose vote of thanks for this wonderful occasion. This is a historical event, that is international webinar organized by Department of Bioscience on the theme Changing Humanity, Physiological and Psychological Changes During COVID-19. It's the first time we are organizing international webinar in the Department of Bioscience. I'm really happy to be the part of this webinar. First and foremost, I thank Lord Almighty for his presence throughout this event, starting from alpha stage to omega stage. Then I thank the organizing committee of this international webinar, particularly our chief patron, Major E.S. Daniel Gunanidhi, IAS, retired, our president of MEDA, and the patrons, Dr. N. Vijayan, vice president and academic dean of MEDA, and Reverend Father Ludusami Susai, SDB, secretary of MEDA. And I thank convener Dr. S. Devasahayam Selvakumar, principal of our college, and the organizing secretary of this seminar, this webinar, Mr. D. Arnold Robinson, assistant professor of bioscience, Meston College. In addition to the above, if you take the today's program, my special thanks goes to Reverend Father Ludusami Susai, SDB, Secretary MEDA, and one of the patron of this webinar, who invokes Lord's blessings through opening prayer. Thank you, Father, for your presence. My special thanks goes to our beloved principal and convener of this international webinar, Dr. S. Devasahayam Selvakumar, who initiated this webinar and gave a nice welcome address and a wonderful introduction about this webinar. Thank you, Principal Sir, for your presence. My special thanks goes to the Superman. My special thanks goes to Superman, Brave Man, Conqueror, and the hero of this international webinar is none other than our chief guest, Dr. Namachivayam Ganesh Pandian, Principal Investigator and Junior Associate Professor, Institute of Integrated Cell Material Sciences, Koyata University, Japan. Why I mentioned Superman, Brave Man, Conqueror, and Hero? Anybody at the back? Do you know?
thank you for the nice words, sir.
Nobody
Honored, but
why I mentioned this? The Superman is always Lord. So our chief guest have two lords name, that is Shivam, Lord Shiva and Lord Ganesh. That's why I mentioned Superman. That brave man is nothing but the Pandya is the king of Pandyan emperor. So automatically he would be a brave man and he would be a conqueror and he would be the hero. So that's why I mentioned this word Superman, brave man and conqueror and of this international webinar. Thank you, sir, for your presence. In spite of your busy schedule, you allot this slot for us and be here for for the past 2 hours. Thank you so much, sir. My special thanks goes to the organizing secretary of this webinar, Mr. D. Arnold Robinson, who has done all the works pertaining to this webinar, including the works starting from the initiative work, starting from the brochure making, designing, Zoom purchasing and certificate designing, sending invitation to all the delegates and the students, and arranging all the guests for this program, everything. So he's all in all for this program. So he is none other than our organizing secretary, Mr. D. Arnold Robinson. Thank you, dear Arnold, sir. My special thanks goes to the host, the anchor, and the video jockey. That is none other than our mistress of ceremony, Miss Geeta, who presented this webinar in a structured manner. Thank you, Geeta, madam. Lastly, you, the delegates, without your presence, this international webinar would not be a successful one, and it will not be fulfilled the needs. So I thank all the participants across the globe, those who are watching this via Zoom as well as YouTube. I thank all the delegates of this webinar. And I thank all my fellow professors, those who are working along with us, and the other professors, those who are in this webinar, especially the non-teaching staff of our college and others, those who are working in our college. So last, I thank all the student fraternity, especially the Mestonians who are at the back and the other students, those who are in the webinar. Thank you so much. Thanks. I thank you once again all. If anybody I have left it out, please forgive me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Over to Geeta, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now we have come to the end of this session. So feedback link is already posted, but I request everyone to fill it after the national anthem. So let us all rise for national anthem now. So participants, kindly go through the link in the chat box.
Thank you,
thank
sir.
you one and all. I thank Dr. Namashivayam, sir.
Thank you, Professor Namachayam, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Dr. Namitsivayam, congratulations. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Father.
Your talk was very timely, very enlightening, and very encouraging. Yes, we have.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. And India is proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Exactly, Father. Exactly.
India is proud of you. Yes.
Thank you, Dr.
Arnold. Thank you, Arnold.
Yes, Father.
Thank you, Anthony.
Father.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Arnold.
Father.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Geeta
Father.
Rao.
And
Yes.
special thanks to Dr. Anthony for such a nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Principal
Namaskar,
sir,
sir.
thank you. Sudev sir, thank you.
Father, thank you, Father.
Thank you. Right.
So anything related to studies in Japan or about the questions, you can feel free to contact me through email or through the social media. I'm actually very active in social media. So given my name, you can just Google my name, you can find me. So yeah, I think more people should come become a scientist. Okay, so that's my message. Thank you.
Very nice. Congrats.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Principal, sir, professors, and participants from our college. And I also extend my thanks to my students and staffs from various colleges who have taken part in this webinar. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you. Namaste, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And thank you, Geeta, for
Thank you,
a
sir.
wonderful campus. Okay, sir.
Geeta ma'am, thank you very much.
Sir.
Yeah, you organized well. You hosted the program
Thank you, sir.
nicely. Anthony sir, thank you so much.
Sir, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, sir. Anthony, sir.
Okay, we'll wait. Geeta ma'am, we'll wait that other participants fill that form, right?
Yes, sir.